Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Newcastle United latest news live right here on the Toon Review. I'm Paul. Thank you very much for tuning in this morning. As usual, if you do enjoy it, please do give it the thumbs up. Very important we keep those likes coming in on the channel. And of course, if you're new, please do click the bottom right-hand corner, click subscribe, and come and be part of this amazing community right here on the Toon Review. As you can see, so close to 27,000 now. So with your help, we can get there sooner rather than later. You can become a member of the Toon Review. We're starting to give some prizes out from tonight again for our members. Hit that join button just underneath myself. And finally, you can donate to the channel if you do so wish by hitting that $ under the live comments, and that will guarantee your comment to be read straight out as well. Right then, we're only a couple of hours into Monday morning, and already there's loads of stories floating around, as we'd probably expect with such little time left now in the transfer window itself. I don't know. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to believe. Eddie Howe's press conference was, again, this morning. Not a lot said, if we're openly honest. I don't quite understand what is going on anymore. It's very strange. Eddie says one thing. Ornstein has said another. Ornstein doesn't tend to bull rot anybody. But look, I know there's a few people in the chat already said this morning that Eddie's poo-pooed the Jacob Ramsey transfer deal. He did the same with Harvey Barnes, remember, and Harvey Barnes was in the next room. So don't take everything as gospel what Eddie says on transfers. We've learned that over the time that Eddie's been here. Toon Army says Howe is really starting to piss me off in his press conferences. Mind once again backtracking from what he said at Fulham, and he said the Jacob Ramsey thing was lies. Ornstein doesn't lie. He's one of the best. Exactly. He is one of the best. I can understand the frustration, but I also think it's tactical for not giving other clubs info what we plan to do. Last year, food deals seem to be hijacked. I'm hoping that's what it is. Look, Jacob Ramsey has come out of nowhere. Let's be honest, he's come out of nowhere. But is he a good signing? Absolutely. Very, very impressed with this kid. There's a lot of Newcastle fans not very happy. Not very happy at all with the Ramsey links. But listen, I think he's a quality footballer. Young kid, a lot of talent there, raw talent as well. And you know, he's done well for Villa. I think it would be a good move. What we are tending to do at the minute is we're tending to look at players, certainly English players. Again, I do apologize if my stream has gone a bit funny on YouTube, a bit sort of blurry. We are getting internet works in the street, so I do apologize for that, but it will right itself eventually. So keep going. Is the way forward. Yeah. So Jacob Ramsey for me, very, very interesting. Again, not a lot said about Miggy. Not a lot said about Jamal Lascelles. Look, it's very strange, isn't it? It really is very, very strange because, you know, we're getting so many different stories all the time. But anyhow, I mean, the press conferences are becoming a bit of a farce. I mean, I'm not being tight rabbit none. I do have fiber broadband. It's just that they're obviously doing work in the street and I can't do anything about it. So it's really annoying, put it that way. Really annoying when you're paying so much money and you get a substandard broadband. It does tend to piss you off. Tell you what, let me see if I can do anything about this. 1 second, because it looks absolutely dreadful on YouTube. 2 seconds. Right. Let's see if that does any better, guys. I do apologize for that. Hopefully the signal will kick in and be a lot better for you guys. Right. So as usual, let's get on with it. Ramsey is supposed to be in the region of, well, I've been hearing different, very, very different stories this morning about valuations and things like that. Supposed to be around 50 million quid, which has been absolutely ridiculous. I don't think he's worth 50 million quid by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? Players these days, especially English players, they're always going to be up there in the price list, aren't they? And it's absolutely crap. Spike, good morning to you. Morning all, says Adam. Love the early shows as a night shift worker. Thank you very much. Bob says, can Newcastle please sign me? I'm not great, but I will try my best. I think everybody feels like that at the moment. Liam says, good morning. I'm not sure on this one. It will eat into Liao funds in the summer. Yeah, we were linked with Liao, weren't we? Which is bizarre. But then again, what isn't bizarre coming out of the rumour mill with Newcastle United at the minute? There's so many. Roughyard Benisian, good morning to you. Shira69, good morning all. Great to be back after being off since last Friday. Good morning from Lakeland, Florida, says Kevin. God, it must be early it must be still in the middle of the night over there, is it? Wow. Yeah, there's rumors about Bruno as well. But then again, there's rumors about Bruno all the time. And, I've seen a report just before we went live just regarding Bruno. And again, possibility of him talking to Liverpool. I mean, it's mental. It really is. Can't see how we're going to be able to afford Ramsey unless Miggy is sold for upwards of 25 million. Well, yeah, exactly. Transfer Markt's got him at 42 million. I believe that's euros, so maybe around 40 million quid. So he's going to cost more than that, isn't he? Because, whatever he's marked as on Transfer Markt, it tends to be a little bit more. Niall says, I'm flabbergasted that we have not got a Saudi loan deal if we have no friends in the Premier League. Yeah, no friends in the Premier League's a little bit upsetting, isn't it? Not that we care. Right, let's have a look what Eddie had to say then, because, it does link into all the transfer stuff. He says, about Saturday's win, it was an important win for us. It was our best performance. Sorry, it wasn't our best performance, but it was important. Defensively, we looked resilient and solid. Hopefully, it gives us a lot of confidence. I think you've seen an improved performance towards the end of the game, probably reflecting the scoreline and the fact we were winning. You saw a bit of freedom return. I'm not really sure what to make of that, guys. Look, yes, I think it's good that he's acknowledged that we were poor. But at the same time, I don't think there was any part of that game that we were free. We had a lot of freedom. Maybe the last 10 minutes, I suppose you could say that. But apart from that, really, not really. Now, this is the thing that I think has got to a lot of Newcastle fans this morning and what he said regarding Almiron and Lascelles. He says, we hope Miggy will be with us. Jamal, I'm not so sure about. It's not a serious injury, but I think it might be enough to keep him out of this game. It will be close. We certainly hope to have Miggy with us. But then he went on to say that he doesn't know if Miggy will stay. So take what you want from that. I don't know. I mean, if the plan to use Miggy tomorrow night, fair enough, with the possibility that he's still going to leave the club. Of course, the transfer window doesn't close till Thursday. Miggy could play tomorrow. If he's fit enough to play and he hasn't left the club, then fine. Very interested in that one because, yes, we could do with Miggy at Villa. There's no doubt about it. I think, for what Miggy offers, I think he'd be good to have in the team for Villa. Certainly defensively. Whether you think that sort of Jacob Murphy is fit enough to start, I don't know. I'm not so sure because Villa will come at us. They will really, really, really come at us. So we've got to be prepared for that. And if we play anywhere like we did in the first 20 minutes of the Fulham game, we're going to get annihilated. That there is no doubt about because Villa have a lot more quality and have a finisher. Ollie Watkins knows where the net is. And that's what Fulham didn't really have against us on Saturday. So we've got to be prepared for that. But Jamal Lascelles' situation, I mean, he's close, but he's not close. And again, it's weird information coming out from the manager. And I've seen a lot of Newcastle fans on social media so far this morning after that press conference a little bit frustrated. And even in the chat this morning, people saying it's becoming a joke because we're not really getting any proper information. And he's I just don't understand where he's coming from with Miggy and Jamal. Now, on the kickoff times this is interesting because obviously the Fulham kickoff time and the Aston Villa, Villa doesn't kick off till 8:15, which is absolutely mental. But again, we know that that's because of TV. The TV companies putting these on, not thinking of the away fans at all. Once again, the Toon fans have to go down to Birmingham and will be very, very early hours of the morning when they get back to Newcastle. Certainly public transport won't be available after the game. It's ludicrous. Eddie said both are strange. It does look like a lack of care for the supporters. When you consider the loyalty and passion Newcastle supporters show, you know there's going to be a huge number that want to go to the game. We thank them for the support and sympathise about the travel arrangements. He's got a very, very good point with that because, you know what? Whatever you think of Eddie Howe in his press conferences, one thing he always does stipulate is that he's the love that they have for the supporters and the understanding he has for the supporters, and certainly with the trips, you know, the away trip to Fulham and now the away one to Villa, it's mental. It's mental, the kickoff times. And you know, you're playing at 7 o'clock in London on a Saturday night, then you're in Birmingham at a 8:15 kickoff. By the way, obviously you can catch that game right here on the Toon Review on Match Day Live. We start at 7:45 with half an hour's build up to that game. Paul says, good afternoon from Cyprus. Someone must go if there's a bid for Ramsey. As much as I want the information in the press conference, Eddie's priority is not to give away tactics for the game. Who is available, who isn't available, and who we may be targeting in the transfers. Right, okay, I understand that, but then what's the point of doing a press conference? What is the point? If he's not going to give any information about anything, and this is a genuine question, what is the point of doing a press conference? Because if you're not going to get any information, I'm not saying give your tactics away or anything like that. That's very understandable. But what's the point of them anymore? I mean, do they actually mean anything? Do they actually, have any purpose? Because I'm struggling to find a purpose to these press conferences now. I don't know. I don't see any purpose to them. Coach Marv says signing Jacob Ramsey fits the demo we seem to go after late in the window, young and a small statement signing like we did with Gordon and Isak. Eddie and the owners target one player and sign them late. That's a good point, Coach Marv. That's a very good point. I've never seen City dominate as much as they were at Villa. Yeah, Villa, I mean, are they in a good run of form at the moment? I'm not so sure. They have been playing very, very well, obviously, at Villa Park a lot of the time. And it's never an easy place for us to go. That's a certainty. They did outplay Manchester City. And if they play anywhere like that against us, we've got a hell of a game on. A hell of a game. Jacob Ramsey says Niall is a good player, but not worth £50 million. They did fail to beat Sheffield United at home. Yes, that's the kind of ups and downs. I'll be here for the game on TV commentary from you guys, as usual, much better than the so-called pros who are shy. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Is Eddie being told to keep certain things close to his chest about transfers? It's getting weird, the press conference. Yeah, I assume he is. I mean, he's not going to... Look, I understand he's not going to give a lot away, certainly with regards to transfers, but I think, the confusion that it creates, saying that we hope to have Miggy with us tomorrow and then saying he doesn't know if he's going to stay at the football club, it's kind of contradicting himself. And it confuses us as fans. I know it confuses me, but I mean, I find it a little bit bizarre. I really do. But again, there's a lot of frustration on social media at the... talking about some of the injured players, but we'll come on to that in a minute. On the FA Cup draw, he says, I'll have a close eye on tonight's game to see both teams in action. I'll be intrigued to see who wins, and it will be a tough game, whoever we play. Now, on the reverse fixture against Aston Villa, of course, which was the start of the season when we absolutely blew them away, and everybody thought, wow, what a season we're going to have. And it's took a little bit of a crazy turn for both sides, really. He said, it seems a long time ago. I think we were at our best from an attacking sense that day. We grew in confidence as the game went on and we scored some great goals. The squad looked healthy and we had options. It was difficult to pick the team. I think that showed what we're capable of. Look, everybody knows that performance was just brilliant. However, things have changed. Now, this is the one where I think he's, again, a lot of supporter frustration. Talking about the current injuries, he says Harvey is getting closer. He's probably the closest, along with Callum. Then you go a little further back to Joe and a bit further back to Elliot. Then we have a couple of others that are even further back. Harvey and Callum are probably the closest to returning to help us. I mean, it doesn't give any timescales. Obviously, this is the norm now, guys. This is the norm for the press conferences. Unfortunately, this is what we have to be. We have to be used to now, because this is it. We're not going to get any information of players coming back, etc., just that they're close. I mean, close could mean 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They could get another injury. They could be out for another 3 months for all we know. Bob Black says, no disrespect, Paul, but it's your news we want to hear, although you're not a bad-looking fella. I don't understand what you mean, Bob. My news. What's my news? I don't understand what you mean, Bob. I'm reading and I'm going on the latest news this morning. I don't understand what you mean by that. You know, I'm reading out the news and going through the news. Very strange comment. Harmy says, Paul, is Howe under pressure if he loses against Villa? And do you think the owners will sign a player if this happens? I think he's under pressure already. If I'm openly honest, I think he's been under pressure for a while. But look, Eddie knows that, and Eddie always, will acknowledge that he's under pressure, and I think that's the main thing. He always knows he's under pressure. There's a lot of really, really strong media reports every time that there's a major manager becomes available, and Eddie's in the, Eddie's for the sack. It happened with Mourinho, and then incredibly he's linked with the Liverpool job, which is bizarre. However, he's under pressure. He will be under pressure, and if we go to Villa tomorrow and get absolutely pummeled, then the pressure will grow. Absolutely. Do I think he's going to be fired? No, I don't, and I still back Eddie Howe. I'll obviously criticize if I feel the need to criticize, but I'm still 100% behind him. Paul, I'm going to the game tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm sitting with the Villa fans, but I'm still have my NUFC top on. Be careful, Joe, especially after what happened the other yesterday at West Brom. I'm sorry, but we've been crying out for a strong CDM, and we are looking at Jacob Ramsey. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, again, confusion. Complete confusion. We know as fans where we want to improve, where we need to improve, but the club are looking elsewhere. Now, I don't know why. Looney Tunes is a good English player, 50 million these days. Players' values go up every season. You have to pay these prices nowadays. The only way to get the cheaper players is to search through the foreign leagues. Predators definitely think whatever Eddie has planned for Hall, he needs to get cracking and get the lad moulded how he wants him, or it's a waste of 40 million quid. Well, it was very intriguing for me that he didn't bring Lewis Hall on against Fulham. I was kind of staggered by that, and again, Matt Ritchie was brought on late on in the game. I mean, I know it was only the last few minutes of the game, but Matt Ritchie was brought on. I'm thinking, why? Give Lewis Hall some minutes. I don't know what Eddie's plan is for Eddie for Lewis Hall, because we can have this discussion till the cows come home, really, about whether Eddie's got any control over transfers. I have no idea. I don't think Lewis Hall was particularly an Eddie Howe transfer. I really don't. And that seems to be the case when you look at the times that he's had the opportunity to use Lewis Hall, and he hasn't. But how is he supposed to improve when he gets no game time? Rachel says he'd get more thrashing if he refused to go to the conferences. I'd rather he said no than giving stuff away. He can be a bit weird sometimes, though. Paul says, look, when we signed Barnes last season, Eddie's press conference didn't know anything, while Barnes might have been in the next room. That's what I said at the start. When he dismisses links to players and things like that, don't take that as gospel, because we saw what happened. He's done it a few times with transfers, guys, hasn't he? When we've been linked with players, or, players are coming in for medicals, and he said nothing. And the classic one is Harvey Barnes over there in America, where he said that he didn't know what was happening with it, and Harvey Barnes was in the next room getting all his photos taken. It was just typical of the way we do business, I guess. Stevie says, I like Ramsey, but we need we need like 6 other positions before this guy. Luke says, am I missing something? What's confusing about what Eddie is saying? It's not what he's saying, it's what he's not saying. And it kind of playing a little bit of a, look, I'm not going to criticize the press conferences. I'm just getting to the point of saying, what is the point of them now? And a lot of people in the chat are saying, he can't say this, he can't say that, or he's not going to say this, he's not going to say that. Then, what is the point of these manager press conferences? And I'm not just talking about Eddie Howe. I'm talking about all of it. What is the point? If managers aren't going to sit there and give information out, then there is no point to do the press conferences. There's nothing in it for anybody. And people saying, oh, yeah, they do it for the media. Well, fair enough, they do it for the media. But the media aren't getting anything out of it either because they're asking questions and not getting answers. So what are they supposed to report? Keith says, congratulations, TTR. Wow, nearly 28,000. You've come so far since I started following when you had 40 to 50 subs. Well done. Never any bullshit from the Toon Review. Thank you very much, Keith. I know you've followed for a long time, matey. One of the family, no doubt about it. Niall says if he gives a time frame, he'll get mullered if it doesn't happen. Yeah, look, I understand that. He's given a few time frames before, and a couple of weeks. He said 2 to 3 weeks. Botman being the classic one, and he was out forever. Martin says, looking forward to the commentary tomorrow night, Paul. Think our defence is looking like it's getting there. However, still worried about our midfield. That's the big thing for me. That is the big thing, the midfield. How long can we go with Miley, Bruno and Longstaff against the bigger teams, against Villa? Villa at Villa Park tomorrow, they've got some very good midfielders. They will look to dominate the midfield. And if they dominate the midfield, they will probably win the game, let's be honest. So we've got to be up for it tomorrow. But I do worry. I do worry about the three of those. Luke says, nothing confusing for Eddie's comments, in my opinion. He'd like to have Miggy fit and in the squad, but he doesn't know if those above. Ashworth et al. Might organise his sale in the meantime. Eddie going nowhere, at least not this season. I don't think he will be either. The point is, Paul, he's forced to by Premier League. Yeah, I know, Tony. Don't worry. I know the Premier League, the stipulations are that the managers have to do these press conferences. I think if we're openly honest, I think if the managers had an opportunity to not do them, I think they'd take them up on that every single day of the week. I think they'd rather not have to do them. Do a little interview before the game, of course, and you do a post-match press conference. But I think the pre-match press conferences, I think if the managers had an opportunity to say no, I remember some managers used to send their assistants to do it because they had other things to concentrate on. It is frustrating, I agree. However, it's very difficult to put dates on returns for managers because people will hold you to it. And when setbacks happen, people will crack it. Either way, he can't win. I think he's made a rod for his own back, though, or the medical staff have put Eddie in a very difficult situation by giving false dates or telling Eddie that a certain player will be back by a certain time, and that doesn't happen. That's where I think the major problem is, because he's talking about players coming back off, what the medical staff have said, and the medical staff have been completely wrong, which I think that will really need overhauling in the summer, and Eddie will want answers. The Devious Orange says, we are interested in Desiree Doué from Stade Rennes. Looney Tunes says, that Lewis Hall transfer is a strange one. Has to be all ash with that signing. Ramsey would make sense with Joe, Willock and Anderson out. I can see it, but the price is mad. Well, the one thing that certainly the reports have picked up on is the position that Jacob Ramsey plays is more of an attacking midfielder, a kind of number 10 role. And we don't really use that position, or he certainly hasn't so far. So if we are legitimately looking at Jacob Ramsey, then is that a sign that maybe we want to try something different? Especially when we get the other players back as well. It gives a lot of options to maybe change the formation, change the way we play a little bit. That obviously that's just from what the media reports were saying, but he's not really the position that Jacob Ramsey plays in isn't really a position that Eddie Howe uses a lot of the time. So for me, it's an interesting one. Unfortunately, I don't think we're signing anyone. We need to sell someone to buy, and I think Almiron was the most likely to be sold, but it doesn't look like that's still happening. Look, it's gone very, very quiet on everything. Certainly Miggy Almiron at the moment. I'm just looking at some of the latest news that's popping up here, and it's all saying goodbye Bruno Gomes, PSG confident of winning the transfer race. So, he's still linked with a move away in the next couple of days, which is mental. I'd find it staggering if Bruno disappeared this month or within the next 3 to 4 days. Staggering. And of course, there's so much stuff coming up saying, "Oh, we're linked with this guy, we're linked with that guy." The only legitimate link I think this morning is definitely Jacob Ramsey. No one else. Luke says, has anyone thought it's possible we would need to pay a certain fee to Chelsea once Lewis Hall plays a certain number of games? It could be we want to delay that payment due to FFP. I don't think that's true because of the loan deal. It's a loan deal. So I don't think in the loan deals they put, if he plays 10, 15 games, you've got to pay this much money, because I think there's an obligation to buy at the end of this. So providing that Lewis Hall meets certain criteria, it's more probably the criteria that is stopping Eddie Howe playing him. If Eddie Howe doesn't, this is just my feeling, if Eddie Howe doesn't fancy him, then he's not going to hit the criteria and he won't sign. Paul Mann, thank you very much for your super chat. Very much appreciated, my friend. No comment there, but thank you. Looney Tunes says, exactly, Paul. Press conferences are a waste of time if there is no news on anything. Eddie's presses are milk toast, mind. He's like the anti-Keegan. Brian says, Howe under pressure? Don't be ridiculous. Who better than Howe to do the job? And if you chop and change managers, you get nowhere. Eddie Howe is tops. I agree, Brian. I don't want Eddie Howe to go anywhere, but football, we all know what kind of ruthless game football can be, and the fact that players and managers can just disappear in the blink of an eye. That's just the situation we're in, whether we agree with it or not. It's a really ruthless business, especially if you are a football manager. Isak came out of the blue, to be fair, too, after we said we had no money. Yes. Remember, I think that's what people have got to remember is what's happened in previous windows, where we've said we've had no money to spend. The likes of Puke Edwards coming out and saying, oh, they've only got 25 million or whatever it is, and we go and blow 60 million pounds on a player, 40 million pounds on a player. So don't believe anybody when we say we haven't got any money. I think FFP has been used a lot in this window for not just Newcastle United, but a lot of clubs. Yes, it's real. We are hampered by FFP, but I still believe there's a little bit of money there. Certainly a bit of leeway. Michael says a midfielder and a younger, less injury-prone forward needed this window badly, or the season could go tits up. Lee says, morning, Paul. I know going to be a tough match tomorrow. Got to play Tino in the starting lineup. It's his type of game. Toon Lad says, to be honest, half of Villa's team are players we should have gone for in the last window and the summer. Never mind. Well, the one that speaks out is obviously Diaby, isn't it? I mean, Diaby would have been an absolutely fantastic signing for us. And he was heavily linked. I don't know how far down the line Newcastle got with Diaby, but he was definitely linked. There was definitely interest there. But unfortunately, he ended up going to Aston Villa, which was a real kick in the teeth for me, because I think he's a quality player. And certainly could have advanced us down that right-hand side a lot better than we've had. But we didn't get him. It's pointless talking about him now. It's gone. Derek says, thought Joe White might have been on the bench on Saturday. A good pals on Alex fan, and he's raving about him. Yeah, he couldn't. He was cup-tied, Derek. He couldn't play. He'd already played in the FA Cup this season when he was out on loan, so he was cup-tied. So I would expect Joe White to be on the bench tomorrow, mate. As I said, some managers just like to hear their own voice, and Eddie isn't a narcissist, thankfully. Asset says, buy abroad, loads of quality. Why cast-offs? As for Eddie Howe, strange sub-decisions again. I believe there is an issue between Ashworth and Howe is real, then problems for Eddie's future. I'm not too sure. Look, I don't think Jacob Ramsey is a cast-off. I think he's a one for the future, and I don't think Aston Villa will want to lose Jacob Ramsey by any stretch of the imagination. I think Jacob Ramsey is a massive part, or at present, as we speak, Villa see him as a massive part of their future. However, as I've just said, football is a strange game and can change on a dime. And, Jacob Ramsey, for all he's with Villa at the minute, Newcastle come in with a late approach. Villa have been hampered a little bit by FFP in the past as well. Will they want to sit back on the money they could get for him? I don't know how the payment will work. If we haven't got the money, then you'd probably be looking at installments. But it's a tough one. It will be a tough transfer to make. To try and make that happen is going to be extremely difficult. What does the Newcastle hierarchy do in terms of scouting players? There's more to than just signing English players. They charge extortions. I mean, yes, it's true. You get better value in Europe, and I don't think anybody will argue with that point. You do get better value, but we want quality players, and I think Jacob Ramsey is a quality player, but not for 50 million, guys. Not for that kind of money. I think that's extortionate. Michael says Ramsey 50 million. Diaby went to Villa for 50. Who's sailing the effing ship? It's because he's English. Well, he's not English, is he? Jacob Ramsey isn't English. I don't think Jacob Ramsey's English, guys. Just bear with me 1 second. I don't think he's English. Oh, yes, he is. It's unclear how Ramsey... I don't know where I read that he wasn't English. Yeah, he is. I don't know where I've read that, to be honest. Oh, that might have been on the... Oh, hang on. The Swedish striker has been making some excellent... I'm talking about Isak. That's where I've got muddled up with that. Of course, Jacob Ramsey's English, you nugget. Forget I even said that. I don't know what planet I'm on this morning, guys. I really don't. But I am. He's definitely English. I'm just talking nonsense. Bruno looked different on Saturday. I don't know what it was, but it just seemed like he was slightly disconnected. Look, you could say that about the whole team, though, can't you? You know, you really, really could see that about the whole team. They look disconnected. They look disjointed. Some of the passing, it wasn't to our normal par. You know, yes, the last 10 minutes we got a bit better, but, you know, all in all, it wasn't a great game of football for Newcastle United. And Fulham will be very disappointed they didn't get anything out of the game. I know a lot of Fulham fans were disappointed with the team that Marco Silva picked. They couldn't understand why he made the 7 changes. Because after going out in the Cup, the players will want to get back on the pitch and try and get through to the next round of the FA Cup. It was a very, very strange decision from the manager. There's already a bid from Lascelles from Besiktas, says Julie. Yep, there is. James Andrews says, if Eddie doesn't want Hall, then shortly we should have £30 million to spend in January. Simon says, maybe a bid for Besiktas, but Lascelles says, ask the club to give him a free transfer. Yeah. Now, this is an interesting one. I did read a report last night saying that Newcastle United had agreed to that, to give Lascelles a free transfer, because we're not going to get any money anyway in the summer. But what would actually help FFP is obviously Lascelles' wages coming off the books. How much, theoretically, could we get for Jamal Lascelles now? I'm not so sure it's going to make a huge difference anyway. But yeah, I had read that, which... I mean, I'd also read that Newcastle had agreed to it, so we'll see. Diaby has not done much this season, barely keeping out with the team. Yeah, look, I think Diaby, I don't know, but I know he's a quality player, and I watched a lot of him in the Bundesliga. He is quality, but so is Bailey. Bailey's a very, very good player and a very quick player as well, so they've got options, Villa, something we haven't got right now. What about John McGinn, Paul? Yeah, I like John McGinn. I've always been a fan of John McGinn. Press conferences are for the sponsors behind the manager. It's all about money, isn't it? Jacob Ramsey is a fantastic player. He will be an England starter at some point. Yes. Look, the times I've seen him play, guys, I have been absolutely massively impressed with what I've seen from him. The talent he has, the skill he has on the ball, he knows how to finish. So, yes, I'm all for it, but not for 50 million quid. I think that's an awful lot of money to pay. Derek says, why are fans trying to create a problem between Howe and Ashworth? I don't know, Derek. I think it's just, you know, fans trying to read what's going on from the outside. Obviously, we're not privy to what goes on inside the walls of St. James's or wherever it is. We're not privy to it. But I think that the way that certain things are said in press conferences, you know, and Eddie saying the other day that he's a step removed from the transfers and stuff like that. That's why I think fans are asking questions. You know what I mean? It's not like anybody thinks that is happening. I think they're just putting it out there that might be the case. But Eddie Howe wasn't involved in the hotel meetings. But then again, Eddie had games to prepare for. So I can understand why Eddie wasn't there. You know, looking back on it now, I can understand. Eddie wasn't there because he's preparing for a football match and a big game at the weekend as well. And then Villa a few days later. So, you know, we've got to take that into account as well. Stephen says the Saudi transfer window closes a day earlier, Paul. It's the 30th of January, so Miggy wouldn't be able to play tomorrow. Yeah, I've heard that, but ours doesn't close till the 1st of February, which means that Miggy obviously would need to be sold before then. I think it's the 31st, or no, it might be tomorrow that the Saudi window closes, 2 days before. We've got till obviously 11 o'clock on Thursday. It's a very strange transfer window. Why it's not the 31st, I don't know for us. Just weird. Again, weird. Derek says a non-Premier League player is a gamble and a lot more fail than succeed. Ramsey helped us get Champions League with his goal at Anfield. Yes, he did. Absolutely. Let's not forget that. Surely the lad from Everton, a better deal. Sure has seen the 30 million clause. Well, Onana has been linked with Newcastle United this morning as well. I'm reading here, approach likely. Newcastle expected to make late attempt to sign £60 million Premier League player. Now, they're quoting 60 million for Onana. All right. That's what Everton have apparently valued Onana at. And I think that's outrageous. I don't think he's worth 60 million quid. But then further down the report, it says that we may have to wait until the summer to sign him. So, you know, if you're talking that kind of money, then yes, there's no way we'll go for Onana at 60 million quid. It's just ludicrous. Some of the prices that these teams are actually quoting or think their players are worth, you know, they've had a bag on the head for me, a serious bag on the noggin. Looney Tunes says, if we get Jacob Ramsey, Villa fans would be devastated. They all rate him very highly. Yes, they do. Ramsey is a homegrown player, more of an incentive to sell him, so they get the full profit of FFP. That's an interesting point as well. It's going to be an interesting transfer deadline day. Yes, it is. We are going, by the way, guys, we're going live at midday all the way through to 11 o'clock on Thursday for transfer deadline day. Me and Billy will start it off at midday. Alex will join us later on after he comes home from work. Obviously, we'll all be having different breaks at different times, but we will be live all the way through from midday to 11 p.m. on transfer deadline day. We always have a great laugh. We raise money for charity, which we'll be doing again. 2 charities this year will be a charity for mental health, which I'm still yet to confirm, and of course Parkinson's UK. So we always ask you guys, it's massive for us as a channel to raise as much as we can for those charities on deadline day when we do the full day streams. It's like a charity stream, if you like, but we have a lot of good laughs during the deadline day shows. We'll get some guests on as well, and we'll have a really, really good day. So that's from 12 noon on deadline day. Whether we sign anybody or not, we'll keep you up to date with all the deadline day transfers and stuff like that, but we'll have a great show. So that's live from noon on Thursday. Looney Tunes says, people need to remember when you buy from foreign leagues, it's very hit and miss. Yeah, Derek's just said that. Look, we at present need to sign players who are ready to go now. You know, we can't afford, if we're going to sign somebody in January, right, we need them to go now, because that's why we're buying them. We're not buying in January for development further down the line. We're buying in January to get these players in the team and help us move up the bloody table. So Jacob Ramsey is ready. He's Premier League experience. Yes, he's still young, but he's a bloody good player. But again, it's the transfer fee. That's what worries me. Kevin says we have to start Tino at left back tomorrow. Burn looked so slow on Saturday, and Bailey or Diaby will get through him easily. Well, we said this in the past, haven't we? We've said this about Dan Burn and pace on his side. You know, we said it about Salah in the past and things like that, and he's proved us wrong. But Dan Burn, if he plays the first half like he did at Fulham, we're going to get annihilated. He has got to be better than that. Yes, he improved dramatically second half. But if he plays like that, they're gonna have him on toast. And I have a feeling that Emery might just target him and tell Villa to attack down their right-hand side and go for the throat, which worries me. Maybe with Hall not playing is similar to Gordon. Maybe it's the fitness issues, as Howe likes his players up to his standards before playing them. Yeah, to a degree. But look, we're into January now. He's been with us all season. If he's not fit now, then Christ, he's never going to be. Never going to be. We said the same about Anthony Gordon at 45 million, and look how that turned out, worth double. Yeah, look, Anthony Gordon, I think 45 or 40 million, whatever we paid for him, has turned out to be a fantastic deal, providing Anthony Gordon keeps going in the form he's been in this or most of the season. Jacob Ramsey is a bit younger, I think, than Anthony Gordon, so I can understand why the quoting's so high, but I just think not for me, not at that price. Maybe 35 at a stretch, but you know what? He's English. Adam really likes Ramsey. His style reminds me of Willock, and he has great positional awareness of arriving late into the box. The bottom line is fans don't know shit about what's going on. Nobody knows shit about what's going on. Never mind just the fans. Eddie's role as head coach, not manager, so he probably doesn't get much of a say on the transfers. How is Livermore not getting game time? Very frustrating. I can't answer that. And I think a lot of Newcastle United fans are really frustrated by that. Really, really frustrated by the fact that, you know, one of our best players can't get in the bloody team for Dan Burn. It doesn't sit right with me. Eddie would have a video link to the meetings, so it didn't need to be there. Toon Lad said, will it make better business sense to replace Howe? We love him, but to bring in a better caliber of player, to grow support, to look more appealing. I don't subscribe to that at all, because under Eddie Howe, we've managed to bring in Kieran Trippier, Alexander Isak, Bruno. Yes. Oh, what the hell am I talking about? And Botman. Let's not forget Botman as well. So we have brought in, you know, quality players, Anthony Gordon as well. So it's not like we can't afford, he doesn't have the pulling power. Crazy. Dangle says, hi, Paul, you're doing a deadline day show. Yes, we are. We're going live from midday on Thursday all the way through till 11 o'clock. And as it says, I am actually canny. I eat the day. Good lad. That's what we like to hear. 60 million for Onana, and Šeško is at 45 million. Absolute bonkers. I'd love us to go for Šeško. I really would. Villa Park is a fortress this season as well. That's another worrying thing. Clubs put their prices up because they don't want to sell players. That's why prices are high. It's only when the player wants to leave that we can negotiate a lower price. Paul, are the owners holding back funds from Eddie? It's been done before by owners in a position where possible doubts in Eddie and management future. Nah, not for me. I don't think... look, maybe if this season takes a downward spiral, then I think the owners might look at saying, right, let's change it in the summer. But he's not going anywhere at the minute. But the pressure will be on it. If we get hammered tomorrow, I think the pressure is definitely on him. I think Howe needs to be able to make changes, and Livramento can come on at the back or as a forward. I think that's part of the reasoning. Mike said it should be Livramento at left back tomorrow for me. Big Dan will get run ragged. Villa don't have a lot of height for me. And that's the thing why I think Livramento should start, is because Villa don't have the height. There's no real height up there for Dan Burn to play left back. I'd much rather see Livramento, but God, who the hell knows? But there you go, guys. That is the morning news done and dusted. Again, we're up in the air about everything, but if there is any developments, then we will bring it to you straight away here on the Toon Review. If there's any real serious breaking news about players, then I'll immediately schedule a live show and we'll have a chat about it. Don't forget, we are back tonight, 7 o'clock, with the match preview for the Villa game. We'll be talking about obviously talking about all the stuff going on at Newcastle United, as well as possible lineups, injuries, tactics, and current form. So we'll have a look at everything like that tonight at 7 o'clock. So do be there and don't miss that, guys. Big week coming up for us, obviously. A long day on Thursday, which is also my birthday on deadline day. But hopefully we can raise a lot for charity on Thursday as well. It's going to be a great day. Thoroughly looking forward to it. Billy will be on top form as well. He likes to have a bit of a sing-song, a bit of a joke as well on deadline day. So a lot to look forward to. But listen, thank you very much for tuning in. Over 700 this morning. Thank you so much, guys, for all your support. I really do mean that. Thank you for super chats, memberships, everything like that. If you are watching this on a rerun, please do subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, which will tell you when we upload or we schedule any live shows in. You can donate to the channel while we're off air if you hit the thanks button just underneath. But listen, thank you so much for all your support. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see what happens in the next few days. But at the moment, nothing is done and dusted. But we'll see you tonight at 7. Good night.
Come back and check out some green.